Hey guys, Mike here. So another interesting day in the market. We did get CPI data. Basically came in as they expected. Year over year was a little higher. Market don't seem to really care too much about that because the reaction was very mute for quite a while there, and then we finally got some selling down, and so the index were kind of all over the place because obviously we've had a huge move up. But in this video, we're going to look at one, IWM versus the SPY, and I'm going to show you why it rarely outperforms the SPY since 2010, okay, and since 2015, hardly ever. But then we're going to go into some sectors that are doing well. You need to watch these for the rest of this year and in 2025. And then one sector in particular needs to get up off the couch, or this market could be stalled out. Okay, that's just the way it's going to be. But when you look at this right here, you got IWM versus SPY, and it rarely outperforms it anymore. And I'll show you why. But you can see right here, I mean, if this happens again where the SPY outperforms IWM, it'll be the fourth year in a row. And when we look at this, you can see just since 2010, I mean, 10 times the SPY has handily outperformed IWM, and I believe it's like 5 or 6. IWM's outperformed the SPY, but when you look back, like from 1990 to 2005, man, I mean, IWM was doing really well, right? But when you look at IWM, one thing, just for the short term, be careful to see if this MACD is going to roll over because it has been a huge move up. Again, it's just in its weekly expected move. No big deal. Coming back down to previous all-time high to test it. Again, that trend line right there above will be resistance and stuff. No doubt about that. The two levels below, you can see those two levels right there. One of them really isn't a level, I'll be honest with you, is one I was digging out a while back. If you saw me there, there's that trend line I was talking about as far as resistance and stuff. And we shoot back over to 2021, you can see that was the previous all-time high. That right there, if you want to call it support, you can. It's very weak support, okay? That can be the second one down from that. As we'll see if it's going to bounce or not to hold that level. Of course, again, just watch that MACD right there as we're looking at this. And if it does break that level, you see the trend line, the ascending trend line sets up right with that level as well. And if you're looking for a target on IWM, if you click the adjust button down there and you unadjust this for dividends, you can use that right there as a target if you like. I usually use adjusted for dividends, right? That's why mine is at all-time high. But if you mark that out, I'll show you something that it corresponds to right here. When we end up bringing up our fibs and stuff, we'll take this away. You can see that top line right there coincides with the 1.618 Fibonacci level right there at the top. The previous all-time high is 1.272 fib. Again, we'll see if we end up bouncing or not, holding this right here, going over the next few weeks and stuff. But the reason why you see the IWM struggling like the SPY, because of the 10-year, right? It's so sensitive to the 10-year, and the SPY is not. And you can see right here, I'll show you what I'm talking about, but this thing will not go away, right? It's like leprosy or something. Keep thinking get rid of it, I guess, and it just doesn't go away. So it's been popping back up, which has been putting pressure on IWM. For those who are new, have never seen this, I'll bring up IWM for you, and you can see clearly that this thing most of the time is following the 10-year, okay? And so when we look at this, because the 10-year affects mortgage rates, affects lending rates, all of it, okay? And the IWM obviously is with a bunch of stocks that are high flyers that need a lot of debt, okay? And so you can see when the 10-year is ripping, IWM is not. When the 10-year is falling, IWM is doing well, all right? And you can clearly see that. You can see over the last, looks like we'll zoom in here, 2 or 3 days, 10-year has been coming back up. And IWM has not been liking that. Plus, it's been correlated with a gigantic move that came up, and so that's the big thing. So the IWM needs a 10-year to go sideways or down to perform really well, and the SPY does not, as you have seen in the past. Okay. Now, when you look at some of the other indexes here, you can clearly see QQQ. I want you to watch this on the weekly chart. This stochastic RSI is the momentum. Question is, do we get this right here, or are we going to get this right over here? Okay, or we come down a little bit and then rip, or just sell off, right? That's what you're looking for. So if this momentum rolls over, that's what I want you to look for. It's a higher time frame, right? So more powerful time frame. But when you look, so far what's happening is when you pull an anchor VWAP from the election day, right, it is holding, okay, which means, especially on the SPY, which I'm going to show you in a minute, that as long as that holds for now, everything's good. Okay, everything seems to be bouncing off that. If you don't know what the anchor VWAP is, Google it. I've talked about it multiple times. I think I got trading view videos I'm going to be putting in the Discord for the members and stuff so they can see what it is exactly. But it's key that it holds on not just SPY, but really the SPX. Okay, that's where most of the money goes. And you can see on SPX, we ended up with not 1, but we ended up with 2 bounces there. And so you see this trend line here, that's going to end up being support if that actually breaks. And then of course we'll come down, fill this gap, which also corresponds to that as well. So, and of course, if you look on SPY, I think that's 295 level. That's a key level. So if it holds that, you should be fine. If it breaks that, we're definitely going to be filling that gap right there. And then if we break the trend line, well, we'll end up having some fun, maybe coming down to like 58.75 or whatever it is right there. But let's just take one level at a time and see what happens, okay? So 295 so far is held for multiple days. The bulls have stepped in. And this is what I was talking about when I said, you know, do these sell-offs get bought up, right? And it also corresponds with the golden fib level. Now, the sector that needs to get up and get going is going to be semiconductor. See SMH right on this trend line right here. And yes, the bulls have managed to somewhat stay in charge, but the bears are trying to take over and drive that daily RSI below the 50, get that MACD below 0. And understand it needs NVIDIA. NVIDIA is 25% of, or NVIDIA and Taiwan Semiconductor, excuse me, are 25% of SMH. But look at AMD. They announced layoffs to the global workforce. This continues to drop and be a dog right now. But it hopefully comes down to that trend line because you're talking about a good support level and 0.79 fib. SMCI, I'm just going to say, put out a note saying they cannot put out their quarterlies right now. And by the way, they were delisted in 2018 for the same shenanigans, okay? And that's just a mess right there. Now, looking at some sectors to pay close attention to the rest of the year, not just now and for 2025, you're looking at software, fintech, and cybersecurity, right? You can see since the election, they've been doing really well, okay? I think I talked about IGV like, I don't know, I think I did in a members video maybe months ago, and that thing is just going crazy. You know, it was a public video I put out to you guys. Yeah, and this is doing really well. And so are they going to get a breather? They should, right? They've been moving up like crazy. But when you compare this to the MAG 8, you can see the MAG 8, I haven't been doing too bad. It's been out doing cyber, but look what happens when you take Tesla away. Not so much, right? And so that's because NVIDIA hadn't been participating, not really Amazon, Microsoft. Microsoft might be waking up now, but it's because of that 40% move in Tesla. And so you got these easily outperforming them right now. Let's just see if people keep piling into those. Now, Amazon, probably the stock of the day, to be honest with you. It got past the hot potato. Why? Because the options market loved it, right? It was calls were dominating puts intraday by 25 mil. You can see as they were buying those calls, the stock was going up, right? And so that's just the way it works. When they stopped buying the calls, stock started going down. Maybe Jeff Bezos stopped selling. We'll see. And when you look at, you know, the levels we'll be watching for, it's these right here, 205.78 on a pullback, okay? If it goes up, 225.40 is the next fib level to be watching, the 1.5 fib. It stopped at 1.272 today. And so if it drops below 205, then look for around 243. Okay, that's Jeff Bezos, where he was selling billions at 200. Okay, now Shop, you can see, had another good day today. It held its gap up, right? That's actually a good sign, unlike Kava, right? Kava reported, ran it like crazy, and then just gave almost every bit of it back. Okay, and this is one of these high-flying, low-float stocks, right? Almost gave the whole thing back, almost filled the gap. Doesn't mean it's not going to go back up. But boy, that's a lot of profit taking. That's really not what you want to see on a gap up, okay? And this is the one I talked about because I think it has a 50 million share float. Don't get me wrong, and correct me if I'm wrong on that. There's so many of these. But this is the one I was talking about when I said, you know, this is the next Chipotle, right? After they did their stock split. Because when you look at this thing, originally it moved up really well. A lot of structure in this, okay? I know it sounds crazy because of the big move. But when you look at it, you can see it would come up, right? There's a nice level, break that level, come back down, retested it multiple times before moving back up, right? And this is on a daily chart, come back up, didn't retest there, ended up coming back down later on, though, and retesting this level before it moved up. Then it went absolutely crazy. No structure really whatsoever in this thing, just high flying, all that good stuff. And that's because it is a low float stock. They haven't done any stock splits. One of these restaurant companies, for some reason, that just, you know, it has good growth. You know what I'm saying? And they just push it and push it and push it. And that's why I called it the new Chipotle, because Chipotle did that huge stock split, right? Remember how high Chipotle got? I mean, what was it? $1,000 or some crazy mess? 2,000? I forgot what it was. It was some just nutty number it got to, right? 920%. I mean, that's an amazing thing from 08 to 2012. And then if we put it on the weekly right here and you held it even longer, you held it from 08 to 2015, look at this number right here. So 7 years, and it goes up almost 2,000%. That is Absolutely insane. And so when people don't think things get crazier, it can. I mean, look at this one from right here to 2021, another 700% for you. You know, just amazing, amazing how they can run these low float stocks up. And so, you know, we'll see if Kava bounces back or not. Now, more earnings tomorrow. You got Walt Disney, which has been on the move, J.com, Advanced Auto Parts. And then in the afternoon, Applied Materials, AST Space Mobile. Space stocks have been going absolutely crazy. And then when it comes to data, we do have core PPI, PPI month over month, unemployment claims, natural gas storage, crude oil inventories. And so more news. We'll get a crazy news count in the morning. We'll see which way they want to take it. So let me know how you're doing, what you're doing down in the comments. Please hit that like and subscribe button on the way out as usual. Appreciate all you guys who watch and share the videos. Think about signing up for the membership and listen to McDonald's combo. As you can see, that's everything you get with it. And I'll end up seeing you guys for another fun one. Please feel free to put any questions you have for Saturday's video in the comments. Thanks, guys.